Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So, well, we're starting the first webinar for the year in 5 minutes. And if you're joining, I want you to keep on joining. I had to join in earlier so that we won't have any network issue whatsoever. So, we're just going to wait. 8 p.m. we start sharp. So, stay tuned. Next time, just let me know. Yeah. All right. Still live, right? So anytime, just let me know so that I can start and don't waste time. All right, thank you, Jesus. So, okay, this is 2 minutes to time. And if you're joining us live, this is communication and conversion webinar, and I'm so excited. We're going to just start with a short word of prayer. If you're just joining in, just let us know where you're joining in from. Are you joining from Nigeria? Are you joining from Tanzania? Are you joining out of Africa? Wherever you're joining us from, I would really want to know. So just let me know in the comments box. We won't be having the opportunity to see your faces, right? This is the first time we're organizing this kind of webinar. So if you want to let us know where you're joining us from, please just let us know in the comment box. There's a live chat here. Let's keep it engaging. That's what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to be asking questions during this live and expecting that I get your response. So it is communication and conversion, and I'm super excited, right? Is it time? Is it time, right? All right. So it is communication and conversion, and I am super, super, super excited. Not because this is the first time I am going live, or this is the first time I'm having my face on a webinar, but simply because this time around it's different, right? Not just about YouTube live or something. Now, this time around it's different. And what do I mean by it's different? This is 2025. The last time we had something like this was 2024, and the path of the just is like a shining light. It has to keep on shining brighter and brighter, even unto a perfect day, right? So this time around, we decided to make it a little more different. And the reason why we chose to make it on YouTube is so that after this session, after this webinar, you can go over it. We've had so many and series of complaints of people saying, hey, I wasn't able to join, my network was bad, or something was going on at the point the webinar was going on, so I couldn't join. And having to record the whole session used to be an issue for us. So that's why I decided, let us make it on YouTube so that we have the entire session recorded. So that is the reason why we made it on YouTube, not just because we wanted to So I am also secondly excited because this is we're entering the second quarter of the year. 2025 has been an amazing year. I bet you it's been an amazing year. I mean, an amazing year. And if you feel it has not been an amazing year, then probably you have your own reasons. But for me and my household, it's been an amazing year, and I hope it's the same thing for you also. The reason why we brought this webinar your way is so that we are able to help people fast track the growth process, the entire thing that has been happening in the year 2025. A lot of things have happened even in just 3 months, right? We've had January, so many stories, Nigeria. There's always something happening in every single week. Every single day, something new is always happening. But the most exciting thing for us as entrepreneurs is that this is another year to try again. This is another year to keep on improving whatsoever you've been doing previously. This is another year to step up your game, right? You might have been doing things in the small scale. You might have been doing things just medium and as a mediocre, but this 2025, it has to be different. This is the year where you have to put in the work. This is the year where you will decide to do things differently. And the reason why I've put this webinar together and why we titled it Communication and Conversion, if you check the track record of the webinars we've held, it has always been about selecting certain topics that are not industry specific. And what do I mean by that? Meaning whatsoever industry you find yourself, whatsoever role or whatsoever position you're playing in that industry, you can find valuable stuff from whatsoever webinar we're organizing. Communication is an important tool, is an important asset for every form of entrepreneur, for every form of business, for every form of industry. And that is why they even made a department separate for just those who will communicate. Right? There's something they call the customer care representative. So these guys, it's a whole department for just people who are going to communicate to their customers. So this communication thing is not just for certain people, it's for everybody. And I'm excited to take you through this journey, to take you through this training, so that after this webinar, you can come out to say, I've become a better person. I can position myself for better results. I can position myself for better opportunities, right? That is the goal for this webinar. So I'm going to start off, first of all, by taking us down memory lane. We started this year with a course we titled Beyond Resolution. And what did we mean by that? What we're trying to say was that there's something that goes beyond just setting goals, planning the year. The first quarter is done, and it's after this first quarter you're going to really begin to see people's real traits come up. In the first month, people could easily say, I'm going to hit the gym every day. Some people can say, I'm going to hit this particular goal every day. Some people say, I'm going to do this every day. After the first quarter, that is after January, February, and March, that is when the whole loud noise will die down. And that is the reason why this webinar is strategic. So that energy, that vibe won't die down. That is why we've made this webinar in this time and in this season. So that won't have anybody coming up with the energy at the beginning of the year and then during the second quarter going down with a lesser energy. No, we are going with high energy till the end of the year. So the reason why we've made this possible for you guys, and I really want to use this opportunity to celebrate Young Entrepreneur Society team, the community team, the content team, the conference team, every single team that has made sure this webinar is possible. I and everybody in the comment section, we are celebrating you guys, right? So what we want to do is very simple, right? We entered the year by looking at beyond resolution. We said, okay, there's something that goes beyond goal setting. There's something that goes beyond planning. There's a statement I love saying. I said, we rise high to our goals, but we fall down to the consistency of our routines. So what we tried to do at the beginning of the year was to check it. Hey, what are the routines? What are the things you're doing consistently? That is what will build up to who you are. And I said something. I said an amazing or a great day will make a great week. Or let me take it back. A great minute will make a great hour. A great hour will make a great day. Great days will make great weeks. Great weeks will make great months, and great months will make a great year. So it starts from as little as every single minute you spend. What are you doing with every single time that has been allocated to you? That is what we try to treat and while entering this year. So moving on, we had this little break where majority of YES community members are students, so there was exams and all of that, so we needed to take that like 2 months break. Then we're back, and then we started with the art of communication, right? The art of communication. And first of all, before I begin to say too much, I just really love to set certain terms clear so that we do not have it mixed up, right? So let us first of all start by defining what communication is. What is communication? You might wonder, you might ask. So many people think they know what communication is, but communication in your own term might be different from what communication is to another person. But let us make it clear and let us make it plain. What is communication? Communication is the act of delivering information. Right? It is the act of delivering information. You might want to write that down. Get your pen, get your jota. We are getting into the teaching fully. Right? Communication is the act of delivering information. That is communication. But there's a difference between communication and effective communication. What I've come to teach you guys today is not just communication. Anybody can communicate. Anybody can talk. As a matter of fact, it seems as though it is the dumb people or the people who have nothing to say that talks the most. Right? As much as I love saying, I love talking, I don't like saying it too much. So that they won't say, this one is like he doesn't have what to say. So communication and effective communication are two different things. Effective communication is the act of delivering information that is received. I many of you, let me throw a few questions to the comment section, and I'm hoping you guys really be responsive. Please, I want you guys to be responsive. So, how many of you have been in conversations that you feel like, oh my God, how did I get what have I gotten myself into? How did I get into this conversation? How many of you have been in conversations that you feel it could have been shorter? Like all this English you are saying, you would have said it in just 2 minutes and it would have even made sense better. Or how many of you have actually been the one engaging people in conversations and you knew that, bro, what I'm saying, it is not making sense. So I bet most of us have been in these situations before. But what you want to ask yourself is, why wasn't I able to receive that information from that person? Or why wasn't I able to give out this information? Right? Effective communication is the act of delivering information that is being received. It doesn't stop there. After the information is being received, the information is understood and can be taught to others. There's something I always say. I say, if you want to learn something, you read it. If you want to understand it, you write it. But if you want to master it, you teach it. Say, the act of people mastering certain informations is that information was properly understood. What do I mean? If you walk up to any customer care representative of probably any Apple device, right, they are not confused about what Apple stands for. They are not mincing words, because why? It has been communicated to them properly what the goal and the agenda and the vision of the company is. You walk up to any well-known brand, established brand, you can't catch the workers confused about what they are doing. Why? Because they have been well established, they have been well communicated, the information has been passed to them so much that they cannot mince their words. And that is made possible because somebody was able to effectively communicate. You might be wondering, why am I having issues with my leadership? Why am I having issues leading people? Why am I having issues taking people to a destination? It's not because those people do not want to be led. It's because you've not been able to effectively communicate to these people. So you might want to write that down. There's a difference between communication and effective communication. Communication is the act of delivering information, while effective communication is the act of delivering information that is being received, understood, and then taught to others. That is when you've effectively communicated. Right? So with that being established, so we're going to just quickly move on to the next step. I have my jotters here, and if you don't mind, I'll just have to just really look over them so that I can remember things I'm saying. So secondly, the second thing I want us to look at, because I have so many principles to teach us, because I went through those who registered, thank you so much. I went through your questions, I went through your expectations, and I have them written down somewhere so that I won't forget. You know, some of you asked questions about, okay, you're finding it hard to persuade people. Some of you asked questions that, okay, you're having this low self-esteem, you're getting scared while trying to engage people in conversations. I went through all of your comments and all of your questions, and I'm going to treat all of them well. I'm going to effectively communicate the answers to you. Some of you asked about confidence. You're not able to confidently pass across probably your message or something. Some of you talked about translating ideas to action. How can I take my ideas from my brain to make it something tangible or an action, right? So all of these questions are going to be answered, and we're going to dive into them step by step. So if you're watching this live currently, please, I would love you to do me a favor, click on the share button and just send it to a friend, send it on your status, let people join this live. I really want us to be much. I think I'm not liking the numbers I'm seeing. So you might want to do me a favor, click on that share button, send it to the group, send it to people, let them join live. We need to be here, right? I don't like the numbers I am seeing. Tell people communication and conversion is life, and I want you all to be a part of it. So having defined what communication is, right, and emphasizing that communication is not just about delivering information, is that information is being received, is being understood, and is being passed across, right? While entering this year, one of the things I learned was that everything we do is revolved around decision making. Where you are currently is as a result of a decision you made. But that decision you made wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't communicated to you one way or the other. We all love to feel like we are all original in ourselves. But to an extent, we are all following or modeling after a particular figure that we have highly esteemed. Certain things you're doing currently is as a result of somebody you saw, or a convincing, or a mentorship, or one way or the other. And it's not bad. So having this well registered in your mind, you will now be able to understand that in order for you to take yourself from point A to point B, then you need to watch how you're receiving information and how you're communicating information to people. Because as much as you're being influenced, people are also influencing your decisions. So this is the reason why this webinar is very important. Because if you do not know how to properly communicate or effectively communicate to people, then you might end up passing across the wrong message to people. Communication is not just about speaking. It's not just about saying words, right? There's a whole lot about communication, from your body language to the expression on your tone. For example, if I say, I'm fine, or I'm fine, or I'm fine, these are the same words, but different mode of communication. Do you get it now? So this is why this webinar is important, because most of the times we get it wrong, not because we are not saying the right thing, but because of the way it is being communicated. And all of these things is going to be solved in this webinar. So I have just few questions to answer that you might be having in your heart. The first question you might be having in your heart is, why are my communications not converting to informations that are being received? Or for those who are into sales, because we have, just like I said, we have various reasons why you guys are joining this webinar. For some of you, you want to lead your team effectively. For some of you, you want to generate sales. For some of you, you want to be able to confidently speak in public, right? So I'm going to help you or guide you through why the reasons, through why your communication is not effective enough, why people are not receiving your words as they should. Right? And this is what we're looking at. So I want you to bring out your jotters and begin to write. So the first thing you want to consider while communicating is that one of the reasons why informations are not received is that too much time is being spent on whatever information you're passing across. Too much time is being spent on whatever information you're passing across. If you're not able to pass across an information in very simple terms, then you've not learned how to communicate. It doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to sound too intelligent. As a matter of fact, there's now a research going around that says that first class work for third class graduates. First class graduates are working for third class graduates. And why? Not because the third class graduate is not as intelligent as the first class person, but because this third class person knows how to effectively communicate and effectively lead people, then he is able to drive so much results that a first class person wants to be under him. Do you get it now? So most of the times the mistake we make is that we pay too much time passing across information that could be passed across in a very short period of time. You might want to watch the range or the amount of time you're using to say certain things. For some of you, probably you need to really sit down and break down that vision into clear and simple terms. For years, I've made it very simple for the community members. I said we're standing by three things. We're educating, equipping, and establishing. Not because I want to make it sound so intelligent and so beautiful. No, it's so that if they wake you up from your sleep, you can easily remember what our vision is. Educate, equip, establish. And how is this going to be done? Through our community, our content, and our conference. So all of these things that I coin together and break down into very clear words is so that it is easy for me to communicate it to whosoever is asking a question. So for some of you might want to go back, sit down, and really break down that vision into clear terms. So that because this was one of the reasons this was one of the challenges I faced while starting out. I found it difficult to communicate to people. And here's the beautiful thing you might want to learn as leaders. Most people want to find themselves in your vision. It's not as though they do not understand what you're trying to pursue. It's not as though they do not really understand what you're trying to lead them into. But they just want to find themselves in the vision. It's as simple as that. Not because they do not know what you're doing. But the same way a market woman, somebody who is selling food products, want to find herself in yes, it's the same way a tech guy wants to find himself in yes. So I have to make it in such a way that once I communicate that vision, both the market woman and the tech guy are able to understand it and find themselves in the vision. Because if people do not find themselves in whatsoever you are communicating, then your communication won't be effective. So the first thing you want to check is how much time is spent in communicating what you're communicating. Can it be made in simpler terms? Can I break it down in simple terms? Can I make it very, very simple? And that's why you see great mentors like Mike Murdock, Miles Monroe, they try to break down complex things in very simple words and give it even the same initials so that it is easy for you to remember. That is the first thing you want to take note of. The second thing you want to take note of is how convinced are you about that particular information you're passing? How convinced are you about that particular information you're passing? Most of the times we say things, and it even shows, right? We say things not convinced about what we're saying. We say things not sure about what we're saying. And humans can read this. A great man, my mentor, Pastor Sheni Glory, once said something. He said, humans are feeling creatures that think. Humans are feeling creatures that think, not thinking creatures that feel. What does that mean? It means humans put their feelings first before their thoughts. Humans put their feelings first before their thoughts. And there's a Bible scripture that makes that even much more easier to understand. It says, when I was a child, I thought like a child, I understood like a child, and I spoke like a child. Sorry, the Bible took it the other way. It said, when I was a child, I spoke like a child. I spoke like a child first. I understood like a child, and I thought like a child. Meaning, for someone who has not been able to effectively communicate, he speaks first before he understands and before he thinks. So, what you want to do is to ensure that you have it at the back of your mind that humans are feeling creatures that think. So, what you're trying to put in check is that while communicating, you want to say it with such conviction that even their feelings can attest to the fact that this person is convinced about what he's saying. Before coming on this live session, I just quickly googled one of the great leaders, arguably one of the great leaders. When I say great leaders, it doesn't matter whether what he did was right or it was wrong, but he led whosoever he was leading doggedly, and that is Adolf Hitler. You might want to check certain leadership lessons from the life of Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler led such a revolution that has never been seen before. And how? By communicating effectively. And those who have gone through the school of communication or public speaking, they will tell you that there's a rhythm that his speech follows. There's a rhythm. It's as though there's a beat his speech is following, such that your emotions is carried out in that conversation. You just find yourself locked down or locked in that conversation that you can't zoom out. You can't zoom out from the conversation. Why? Because he has found a way of effectively communicating to people such that they get locked in. It's like a gridlock. It locks your mind. It locks your thinking. So humans are feeling creatures that think. So the moment you understand that humans are feeling creatures that think, you put in their feelings into consideration while communicating. And that's one of the major reasons for relationship issues, right? Because the lady, it's not just about I'm sorry. There's a way you present the I am sorry. For example, if I say, I'm sorry now. If you're the one, will you accept my apology? No. But if I say, hey, I know I messed up. I am really, really, really sorry. We're saying the same words. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's the same words, but the emotions I put into it will determine how that particular information was received. So the first thing you want to check is how much time is spent on communicating. Number two, how convinced how convinced am I about the things I'm saying, such that the moment you speak those things with so much conviction, the person won't be able to, he won't even have any reason to doubt. He won't even have the gap to even doubt what you're saying. So the second thing you want to do is to be convinced. The third thing you want to do is to ensure that whatsoever conversation you're going into, you're going there with enough questions. I call it my question tools or my question kit. Most of the conversations and here's one thing I try to do. I try to put myself in very difficult situations or very difficult environments so that I help my mind or I help my brain to think faster, to think on the go. I'm meeting somebody for the first time, someone that I've never met. I know nothing about you, but I already have certain questions that I can easily ask you. And from there, I just kind of create certain threads or certain strings that I can hold on to and channel other conversations. So what you want to do is to have certain questions in your mind, so that even when you meet that, I heard of a story of a lady who was a copper, and she found herself in a room of so many people I term as great people that I want to see and I don't want to listen to. And she found herself in that room and they asked her to introduce herself. And she introduced herself as a copper, a Nigerian Youth Service Corps member, in a room of so much great minds. It's because that person has not been prepared before time. So what you want to do is that communication don't just happen magically. You have to prepare it. Before coming to this live webinar, I spent last night saying the things I'm going to say to you. Not because I cannot come here and spontaneously just do anything. No, but because there has to be a certain form of preparation so that you won't be caught off guard. And that's one of the reasons why I love TEDx. The reason why TEDx events are special is that TEDx events, you can't just jump on stage and just go and perform magic and just be spontaneous. No, there are certain rules, there are certain guidelines you have to go through before you are able to even go up on stage and speak. So what you want to do is to prepare yourself before time. Have question tools. And let me make it easy for you. Whenever you meet somebody new, here are certain questions you might want to ask the person. You can ask the person questions like, what is the most amazing thing happening for you now? I'm not saying you just meet somebody and say, what is the... No. It starts with, you first of all want to compliment the person. First of all, recognize the person. Everybody wants to be recognized. Everybody wants to feel appreciated and recognized. So the first thing you want to do is to, first of all, find something attractive about the person. Compliment the person. Hey, you're looking good. I love your hair. Or I love your shoes. Or I love the way you're looking. Then the moment you do that, then you take it to the next step. You introduce yourself. Okay, I am this. And I just saw you from afar and I thought to have a conversation with you. You have to be as honest as possible because you can't play with the minds of people. People are that intelligent. So the moment you do that, the next thing you want to do is to now take it a step further and ask the person a question like, what is the most amazing thing happening in your life right now? The person begins to find himself in the conversation. The reason why most of your conversations are awkward is because it's all about you. You're just putting yourself in the picture. Any room you find yourself in, you just want everybody to know about you. You're not giving people the room to express themselves. And because of that, it might bridge the gap between communication. Most of the times, I find myself in very awkward situations. But I've learned how to channel those conversations to be about that person. And from there, you just find the person just being interested in the conversation. And that is how it is meant to be. So you want to make it about the person. You want to have questions that you take to the person. I think my time is running. How many minutes are we going to do it? All right, okay. So this webinar is meant to last for an hour. So I think in the next 15 to 20 minutes I'll be done, so that I can have you ask your questions, or you can even begin to type in your questions now, and then so that I can address them after the webinar. So number 2 is that you must recognize that no two conversations are the same. We've been made unique. We've been uniquely made, such that if I give, who do we have on that live chat? I would love to see the people we have on that live chat so that I can communicate. Okay, we're having Promise Easy, we're having
Danny Adekunle, we're having Mr. Kolawole David, Pastor Kolawole David, Abraham Chom. Okay, so no matter how, if I give, for example, if I give Promise Eze and Pastor Kolawole David the same topic, they are going to eventually say that same topic in different ways. So the second thing you want to understand is you are unique in your way. You don't have to sound like somebody while communicating with people. You know, one of the things that has made it very clinch or very awkward in conversations is that people find themselves in conversations and they clearly know that this person is not being real. No, the bro or the dude that is trying to form asset. I'm a chill guy. Bro, it can't work that way. We can't flow. The conversation can't flow that way. You have to come in your authentic form. That is another mistake most people make. They try to be someone else. One of the books I am going to recommend to you guys is Still Like an Artist. Still Like an Artist. Go search it if you've not read it before. It's a very good read. It's going to help your mind a lot. Still Like an Artist. And one of the most amazing things you're going to learn is that human beings are a compendium of a lot of things. We gather a lot of things. The way you speak, definitely you saw it from somewhere. But you do not necessarily have to copy it the same way and paste it. No, we've been designed in different ways. The way I am communicating now, if I give you guys this opportunity, you're going to take the conversation in a whole different manner. So one of the things you want to do is to appreciate your uniqueness and flow in that way. So you're a sales rep, you're a marketing manager, whatsoever you are, you're a leader, right? You're a minister, whatsoever you are. You must understand that my communication is unique. The moment you recognize that I am unique in my way, it will help solve this low self-esteem thing. Most times people feel this low self-esteem because they've not found their authentic voice. They've not been this authenticity to what they are doing. So the third thing or the fourth thing you need to learn is that everybody is unique, everybody is authentic. And this lack of authenticity has been one of the things that has made communication not to convert to whatever you want it to convert to. Right? So okay, so I'm just going to, I think I am just going to rush through. I've said a lot about why communications are not converting. Now I want to quickly jump into how to effectively communicate. And once we do this, I think we're done with the webinar, right? As short and as simple and as straightforward as possible. If you've been enjoying this class so far, just let me know in the comment section. I'm looking at the chat box right here. So let me know, are you learning? Is it amazing? Are you having any questions so far? Just type it in the chat box and I'll be reading it and then I'll be going through your questions, right? So here are the ways you can begin to effectively communicate. And just like I said earlier, the reason why we put this webinar together is so that we've recognized that one of the most important, or if not the most important asset, right, or the most important tool anybody can have is communication skill, your ability to deliver words to people. The moment you're able to harness this particular skill or harness this particular tool, then you would see yourself thriving. You see yourself scaling things easily. You see yourself avoiding certain mishaps and certain mistakes that a lot of people are avoiding. So you want to pay attention to how effective you're going to communicate. One of the people I listen to, right, that helped me better communicate, and I'm going to recommend it to every one of you. Just search it, Vin Gyang, V-I-H-N, if I'm not mistaken, V-I-H-N, then Gyang, G-I-A-N-G. He's an Asian, very, very, very excellent communicator. You can go listen to him. He's going to help start up whatever I've started. It's going to help build it and make you a better communicator. Everybody has to be a better communicator, no matter where you find yourself. Everybody, because one day or the other, if you say, me, I don't want to lead anything, one day you'll be either the father of your house or the mother of your house. That's the father or the mother. Meaning your children will be looking forward to how effective you're communicating to them, how effective you're able to pass across certain information to them, how effective you're able to educate them on certain things. So everybody needs to be effective communicators, and not just effective communicators for effective communicators' sake, but effective communication that converts to either sales, to either bringing out the passion of people, bringing out the interest of people to either following a vision or leading a team or to whatsoever you want to use your communication skill. Everybody needs to learn how to communicate. So the first thing you want to have at the back of your mind while communicating is that there needs to be clarity. Remember the scripture I quoted earlier? It says, while I was a child, I spoke like a child, I understood like a child, and I thought like a child. And then the Bible went on to say, when I grew up, I put away childish things. So you might want to take that in, or that particular scripture, or turn it the other way. So one of the characteristics of a child, or one of the characteristics of how, now me using child, I'm trying to say that someone who is not able to communicate effectively. Children, let's put it in that context, right? Children have not really learned how to effectively communicate. So let's put them in that context. So for someone who is not able to communicate effectively, he's doing that because he speaks first before he understands and before he thinks, which is a very wrong way to communicate. But if you want to communicate effectively, the first thing you want to do is to first of all understand or think. You have to first of all think. Thinking comes first, and that process of thinking is what brings about clarity. The reason why your communication is not yet effective is because you're not yet clear about the things you're saying. It is not yet clear enough. So the first thing you want to write in your jotter is clarity. So the first thing you want to do is to first of all think about what you want to say. It has to first of all be well thought of, understood, then before it is said. It has to be well thought of, understood, before it is said. So the Bible says, when I was a child, I spoke, understood, and thought. Now, if you want to communicate effectively, what will you do? You will think, understand, before you speak. Do you see that? Very simple. You first of all think, you understand, and then before you speak. But how do you recognize a fool? A fool speaks first, before he thinks about what he's saying. So, what you want to do, the first thing you want to write in your jotters is, in order for me to be an effective communicator, whatever I'm saying has to be from a place of clarity. You have to be clear about what you're saying. No matter how little that clarity is, at least there should be a form of clarity, right? And what does clarity mean? It means you can clearly define what you're saying. So, for example, and that's why in schools, or we've been taught that if you want to teach anything, the first thing you want to do is to first of all define it, right? Is to first of all define it. The Bible says, if the purpose of a thing is not known, is it the Bible now? Sorry, I'm not sure it's the Bible. But there's a saying that if the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. So the first thing you want to do is to first of all ensure that there's clarity. You want to define whatsoever you're saying. You have to define it in clear terms, because what you're saying to you, they say if I should place a 6 right here, right? If I'm seeing 6, the other person will be seeing 9. If I'm seeing 9, the other person will be seeing 6. So you must understand that there's this thing about perspective. So in order for you to bridge that perspective gap, then there has to first of all be a defined term for whatsoever you're communicating. So let's say you want to teach your followers about humility. Humility to them might be rolling on the floor. What you're trying to just say is that you need to just give people their self-respect. So defining whatsoever you're communicating is the first step to effectively communicating. Clarity, right? So the first thing that you want to do in that context of clarity is that first of all you want to define it. You want to define your term. Write this down. Define that term. What does it mean to you? So what it means to you will determine what you want it to mean to the other person. So you define the term. The second thing you want to do is to now differentiate the term. Now let the person know that I understand that this might be what you're having initially. Because most of the times why communication is not effective is because we do not recognize the other person's perspective. Everybody wants to enforce their perspectives on people. And because of that, people are not receiving whatsoever you're trying to say, because you're trying to enforce a perspective to them. So the second thing you want to do is to first of all acknowledge the fact that you're not trying to say that their perspective is wrong, but they have to see it in a better way or in a different light. So after you've defined your term to them, then you will now recognize their own term and show them the difference, right? Define your term, distinguish the term, and then the third thing you want to do is now giving them reference, where you reference your term from. Maybe it's from the scripture, or it is from a book, or it is from your grandmother, from your father. And that is why in books you say, after they write maybe a term or something, they will quote it where it is coming from. If, for example, let's be sincere, if you see a quote like, I'm trying to find the word now. Water is a source of life. And then in brackets, they write Boluwatife. Or water is a source of life. In brackets, they now write, who can I use? Donald Trump. Or in bracket, they write, who is your role model? Whosoever your role model is, maybe Cristiano Ronaldo. They are the same words, but because of who that term is being referenced to, the value of that particular word will differ. So one of the reasons why your communication might not be effective also is because you've not shown the people the reference points to what you're saying. Once you show them the reference points, you might not have arrived at that place of value yet to them. But if you point to where you are getting your own value from, one of the earliest things people knew me for was quoting Vusi. Hey, anything you're sharing me, say Vusi Tembekwayo, I am quoting him all day long. And because of that, people began to pay attention to him. And because they saw that, oh, this is the stream this guy is drinking from, then I think I can begin to trust what he's saying also. So the first thing you want to do is to define your term. And that is what clarity is all about. Your term is defined, right? Your term is distinguished, showing them the difference, and then your term is referenced. I hope you guys got that. So the second thing is that, just like I said, it's not just about how clear those terms is. Now, it's about your disposition. Remember I said humans are feeling creatures that think. So one of the things you want to watch is your actions, right? Your actions. After what you've said, there's a saying, they said in communication, they hear 20% of what they hear is the words, 80% is your body language. 20% is the word, 80% is the body language. Many people pay attention more to how your body language is than what you're saying. People pay attention to how your body language is than what you're saying. So the second thing you want to pay attention to is your action. So the first thing is that you have to be clear. The second thing is how is your action? What is your body language like while communicating, right? Your body language can either promote what you're saying or nullify what you're saying. And I gave an example earlier. I'm sorry now. These are the same words, but different disposition, different body language. So most of the times, one of the reasons why we are not communicating effectively is because we are not giving the right disposition or the right action after the words come out. So your actions and your words must tally. Your actions and your words must be in alignment. Thirdly, is that you must be I wrote something down in my jotter, and I want to read it out. It said, I wrote something, and I want you to write it down. I said, behind every correct communication, right, is a consistent conviction. Right? Behind every correct communication is a consistent conviction. Meaning, behind every word that comes out of the mouth of somebody that is in line or is correct is a conviction that is consistent, right? A conviction that the person is so sure of, right? And how is that conviction built? That leads me to my third point, is that an effective communicator is an attentive listener. Most of the times we find people who want to say things, but they do not want to listen to things. Most of the times, the reason why your communication is not effective is that, bro, you don't listen. You only want to talk. The Bible says, in the multitude of words, right, is foolishness. And in the counsel of many, there's safety, something like that. Meaning, anybody who is going to communicate effectively must ensure that he's also listening passionately. Every effective communicator is an attentive listener. Every effective communicator is an attentive listener. So one of the things you want to pay attention to is how often do I listen. As a matter of fact, you should listen more than you should speak. Listen more than you should speak. Listen more than you should speak. Write that down. So I think I'm coming to the end of the webinar, and what I'm just going to do now is to just answer the questions I got from you guys, right? So let's just go over the things I got. First of all, I said there must be clarity, right? You must be clear about what you're saying, right? There must be clarity. You must be clear about what you're saying. And what does clarity entail? It means you define your term, you distinguish your term, and you reference your term. Secondly, your actions must back your words. Your actions must back your words. Thirdly, every effective communicator is an attentive listener. Every effective communicator is an attentive listener. Right? So, there must be clarity, there must be conviction, there must be consistency in character. So these are just the few things I just have written down, and I'm sure this is going to change your communication game. It's going to change it a whole lot. So now I think your questions can begin to come in. Your questions can begin to come in right now. So I think let me just give you guys a moment of time to just ask questions if you're having any questions, because I've actually come to the end of today's session, right? I've come to the end of today's session. I promised this was going to be very short, and I stick to my words. So, while you're typing out your question, one of the things that you might have, I think one of the questions I saw while reading is that how can I take my ideas from up here to actions? How can I take my thoughts to actions? How can I convert the thoughts and the ideas? Or just like I said an effective communicator thinks first before he speaks. So how can I convert the things I'm having up here? Because most of the times people find it difficult to process their thoughts and speak it out. So the first thing you want to pay attention to while communicating, just like I said earlier, is that first of all, whatever you want to say, it must be born from a place of conviction. Because if it is not born from a place of conviction, then whatsoever is up here, it cannot properly be processed. Because you can't play tricks with your mind. Your mind would only work effectively with stuff that you yourself you're convinced about. Right? So, just like I said earlier, everybody who must be an effective communicator must be someone who is willing and ready to put other people's emotions and other people's feelings first. So, in order for you to translate thoughts, right, to actions, you're having a vision, you're having a goal, and you want to drive people. Alright? You want to drive people through that goal. I'm just trying to, this is a form of a recap, because all these things I'm saying, just to show you that I've answered the question, I'm just going to begin from the things I've said during the webinar to use to answer some of the questions you asked, so that you can see that this teaching has been effective. So, in order for you to convert your thoughts to actions, the first thing you want to, first of all, recognize is that, I said it earlier, I said humans are feeling creatures that think. So, if you want to drive people towards maybe performing a particular action, right, that is because there are two ways now. The problem can be from your own end, or it can be from the end of the people you're trying to drive. If the problem is from your own end, then you first of all, just like I said, you have to be clear. You have to be clear. What am I trying to do? You have to be clear about it, because most of the times you're not having that boldness to pursue what you're doing because you're still having fear. Right? There's still this symptom of fear. So in order for fear to be eradicated, there has to be, to a degree, clarity. And when I say clarity, I'm not saying you have to figure out every single step. I'm not saying you have to have everything figured out. But at least you should know the next step you want to take. You shouldn't be blinded about the next step you want to take. Right? And be sure that this is the next step I'm taking. So that even if it's gutter that thing is leading you to, your entire body is falling into the gutter. So the first thing you want to do, if you're the person having the issue to push yourself or drive yourself to pursue certain goals and passions, then you need to first of all ensure that you are clear. And how can you seek clarity? You cannot be clear when you do not dive into understanding. And how does understanding come? It comes by knowledge, right? So you want to first of all go and research about that particular thing you want to venture into, that particular thing you want to go into. You first of all you need a degree of understanding about it. When you find somebody who has read, for exams, speak, the way they are speaking is different from the person who has not read. You can tell who has read and who has not read. So the first thing you want to do is to first of all seek to know, gain knowledge, right? Gain knowledge, either through books, either through mentors, either through whatever way you want to gain knowledge. Just ensure you gain knowledge, so that once you gain knowledge, you are convinced about what you want to do. There's a degree of clarity coming alongside with it, and then you can begin to drive others. Because if clarity is not there, you cannot drive others. They say the blind cannot lead the blind, right? So in order for you to translate your thoughts to actions, to begin to fulfill the things you're doing, then you need to ensure that you seek to know first. Once there is knowledge, once there is understanding, then clarity is inevitable. Clarity backs up whatsoever you're doing, and the moment there's clarity, then you can begin to also drive people. And now, in order for you to effectively drive people, that's another side, because I see there's a role you're playing, and there's a role others are playing. So for the side where others are playing the role, or maybe you're finding it difficult to lead people, right? The first thing you want to understand is that everybody listens differently. Everybody hears information differently. So I said it earlier. I said everybody wants to find themselves in whatsoever you're informing them about. So I think there was a time where there was this particular marketing. Okay, there's a question, right? Okay, you just read it out. So there was a particular time where there was this particular marketing story that was going on, where somebody would say, "Sell me a cup of water." One of the major mistakes people make is that they want to sell the water. They want to talk about the futures of that water. They want to say, "This water is good. This water is this." No. It can't work that way. In order for you to market effectively to people and help people understand what you're saying, then they have to find themselves in it. Meaning, if I want to sell you water, I need to first of all let you see how that water can be of benefit to you. I have to put you first, right? So in communicating, you have to put the people's emotions first. You have to put those people, they have to be the drive. They have to be the people driving whatsoever you're saying. So one of the things you want to do in trying to get people or lead people to that certain destination is that the moment you've gained clarity, then you need to help them find themselves in that vision. Right? Help them find themselves in that vision. Right? Help them find themselves. So you want to let's say for example, you're selling I've been using vision so much. So let's say you're selling a product or you're selling a particular service. Stop talking about the futures of that service. Let them see how that service benefits them. How if they get this service, there's going to be a whole lot of difference in how they were and how they are currently. So you need to begin to allow people find themselves in whatsoever you are communicating. So okay, let me hear the first question. Okay, I'm seeing, is there Pastor Kola already doing?
Does every communication requires a non-verbal course?
Okay, does every communication require a non-verbal cues, meaning body language? Alright. Because there are situations now. Let me put it this way. Not every communication would require body language, because there are certain times you're communicating over the phone, right? For example, you're communicating over the phone. You cannot see the body language. So if you want to replace body language, you're going to replace body language with tone, right? If the person, it's not every communication that requires body language. Body language is important, but in a situation where the person cannot see, body language is only required when it is a physical one-on-one communication. But if it is a situation whereby the person does not even see your body language, or the person does not see your disposition, then your tone is going to represent your body language, right? Your tone is going to represent your body. I hope I am answering that question correctly, sir. Your tone is going to be what substitutes that particular body language. Did I answer your question? So, in a place where body language is going to only play a major role when the communication is dealing with physical communication. But when it's not physical communication, then your tone would play a major role there. Do I have any question? Any other question? Is there any other question? Okay. So I think in the absence of question, this is 8:50 already. I'm believing, right? I'm believing that we've learned a whole lot from tonight's session. I'm believing that knowledge and clarity has come. I'm believing that insight has come. And if at all, maybe you didn't follow through from beginning to end, you can go and play the whole session from the beginning. It is a recorded session. It's a live session. So you can go play it from beginning. And I'm finding it a little bit weird because this is the first time I'm holding a webinar where I cannot get to allow people speak or let me hear their voice or something. But regardless, we're going to train ourselves. We're still going to hold webinars on Google Meet and all of that, but we just needed to test this one out, and I hope it gave us what we want to an extent. I hope you guys learned a lot. I hope you guys followed through, and I am looking forward to having you all drive with these lessons and these teachings you've learned today. Drive your second quarter to a very, 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 very high height, and that you're going to bring a lot of results with it. So I'll be looking forward to your testimonies. I'll be looking forward to your comments, and what else am I missing? I think that's just majorly it. So with these guys, thank you so much for joining the live, and this concludes communication and conversion webinar. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Do have a good night rest.